you take the hush money, right? Like if you get raped and you take the hush money, you have a problem with you not, it would no longer shutting up.
Hushing, yeah.
No, I'm just saying
that's what you have a problem.
What's the deal, y'all? It's your man, No Malice, and you are tuned into Trackstarz Radio. That's what it is.
Back in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah, the most pensive hip-hop show on the planet.
All right, make sure that if you're an artist, you are sending us your music submissions, your beat submissions, and your video submissions. If you do anything like production-wise and you want to get your beats out there and you need a platform, an outlet for that, make sure you send them to Trackstarz. Video submissions, beat submissions, and music submissions are being accepted.
I'm very nervous about this topic because I don't know if Ryan is going to be honest. And I don't know if Ryan should be honest about what he thinks about this. So what should I do? What should I do?
Okay.
What are we talking about?
We'll see. We'll see. Depends on what he says.
So we've been talking about Bill Cosby's verdict, right?
Here we go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Bill Cosby's verdict being, what's the word? Mistrial. So, in following this story, I've had some issues, right? I've had issue with people who try to exploit others for their own good, right? And so in this case, I'm a little taken back by the young lady who has presented this case, but years before took money from Bill Cosby to kind of be silent about this. Not just her, but her family found out they took the money as well. So to me, I'm just a little taken back by why we are actually at trial 20-some years later, right? And then all of a sudden, all the people want to come out. That just, to me, I have an issue with people being brought under scrutiny after years and years and years of their life of possibly changing, right? Because we don't know. We don't know.
Can I tell you what you're saying?
Yeah.
Enlighten.
What you're saying is, if I rape somebody.
No. I'm not talking about the offense.
Let me finish.
I'm not even talking about. I haven't brought the offense up.
Wait, let me finish.
I haven't brought the offense up.
Wait, let me finish. If I rape somebody and I pay him off, don't you dare take me to trial later.
No.
Miss Amethyst said because he raped her, right?
That's basically what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that.
You're saying look, if you take the hush money, right? Like if you get raped and you take the hush money, you have a problem with you not, it would no longer shutting up.
Hushing, yeah.
No, I'm just saying
that's what you have a problem with. That's what you're saying.
That is exactly what you said.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
It's the disagreement.
What I'm saying is I didn't even present the actual.
How do you feel about the mistrial?
I feel like I'm okay with it. I feel like okay. It doesn't surprise me. Let me just say that. It doesn't surprise me, right? Money, fame, you get off. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but do you agree with it?
I don't know the story. I don't know if any of it's true. I don't know the evidence. I have not been following this. All I can say is when you tell me that, oh, yeah, this was something that somebody settled out of court, just like with Donald Trump, right? He settled $25 million on his fraud cases.
Comparing to Donald Trump now. Okay.
Yeah, because he's probably guilty of the same thing, if guilty at all. And so my thing is, I'm just like at the point right now where I'm just like, I wouldn't want somebody, if I ran for president, right? And let's just say before I got married, I had my dirt, right? I wouldn't want somebody to bring that dirt up to me.
Not just any dirt.
This is like
this is a particular kind of dirt.
Yeah. Well,
this is next level, like bad dirt. This
is like, manure.
This is scumbag dirt.
But
this ain't like a bag of weed.
I just don't know. I don't know if any of it's true. Remember what happened with what's his name, the guy that was running for president, Kane or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And all these people start coming out, right? I have a problem with you wanting to say something at some point, like we long after the fact. Like your morals didn't get you to the point.
A little bit.
This is interesting. Let's take a moment. It has never been in life where me and Sincere are on the same page, and these two are on the same page. So let's talk about this.
So here's my thing. This boils down to morals, right? This boils down to morals. It seems that people want to come out about some things.
So you're more worried about the morals of the women who are violated.
I'm not talking about the women that are violated.
The ones who took the payoff.
If you agreed to shut up, please be quiet.
Who took the payoff.
I don't agree with
that. Because I think that's what you're saying. Well, that is what you're saying. But that's not what you want to say.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Help us help you.
I'm asking the question.
Get him, Miracle. Get him.
I'm asking the question.
This is your chance right now.
You can bury me right right now.
People are going off in Spanish.
I'm asking the question, right?
One
Why
way we do
now?
know.
This is the only question. Forget what the offense was, right? This is the only question I have.
You
You can't
can't.
forget
okay,
the
but-
offense.
Okay, let's put somebody else in the mix, right? Let's just say any celebrity does anything, right? And there's a time that passes where you've said, okay, I did this, or I stole this, or I did that.
He didn't admit to it.
And he didn't admit to it. But what I'm asking is, why do people wait? Now, I'm not talking about Bill Cosby. I'm not
Why
talking
do
about the
women
guilty
wait?
or the not guilty
That's what we're
verdict.
talking about.
No, I'm not talking about
Not just
Bill Cosby,
people.
period. Anybody even coming out,
women.
even if you come for somebody after a wrongful death and that death was like 17 years ago, like, why do you wait? That's the question I want to know.
That's
Why
not
is
a
it,
good
like, for me,
question.
I went after my dad's wife immediately after he passed away. Everything that she did to our family, everything that I thought she owed us, everything that I thought was wrong, I tried to get her arrested. I tried to have
But you understand,
investigators
this,
on it.
This guy was a megastar. He
I
had
know.
power over these people because of his stardom.
And that's
he was known as like the nice dad on TV.
Yeah.
So
He was
you
the
bringing
guy.
up this
Yeah.
thing when they're worried about career, they're worried about their reputation, they're worried about all kinds of stuff. You can't blame these people when this guy he can bury
And
them.
I'm not blaming them.
And that's a good question. But they could bury him too.
Not at that time.
Not
They
if
could.
you're
They
not if
could.
you're a little
A black
person.
man in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s
No, around the 80s, right? Around the 80s. I mean, I feel like
with a couple of white women in the 80s, 60s,
I want to
and
say around
70s?
what 80s, 90s. Cosby was at like the height of his powers. You know what I mean? Like around that time. And I don't necessarily believe that. And here's the thing, right? You don't know what was said. Honestly, we don't know anything.
We
don't know
really
if he
don't.
we
We
don't know if
weren't
he
there.
did this, and we don't know if he didn't do this,
Right.
right? I'm just trying to shape the narrative the right way. But outside of that, right? If back then, what I guess the thing was that they're saying that he does have power over their careers, right? And where they can go from there. And a lot of these were hopefuls, right?
Yeah.
And so if they were hopefuls, then they know that that Bill Cosby has a lot of money for lawyers and all that kind of stuff, right? And we don't necessarily know what the power that they had at the time.
Right.
And apparently
Yeah.
it wasn't enough, right? And then at the same time, some people, there's a lot of victim blaming that, you know what I mean, they maybe have been scared of and things of that nature.
Right,
And so
very
you
true.
don't know if they were like truly intimidated and scared and had to wait until he seemed a bit weakened, right, in order for them to come out and feel comfortable with saying that.
How bad must it hurt for you to be victimized by this person and everybody loves him? They love him. Like people were shocked when this came out. I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like this person is applauded for years, and this
Right.
person hurts you in this way. It's just a bad it's a bad situation. So to be saying that they're wrong for, and it's not like they're
And the
getting money out of
conversation-
this. They're going
They're
for
just
justice.
shedding light.
And
right.
the conversation is this, right? Well, the person that I'm talking about,
But
right?
that's
Let's
not what's
just forget.
happening. That's not what's happening now.
Let's forget that this is a class action suit, right? And let's talk about the woman that has actually done this, right? The woman that was trying to further her career when she went up to his room.
Oh no, you gotta be careful with this.
I'm asking you
gotta
the
be
question.
careful with this.
No, I'm asking you the question. If
You gotta be quicker than that.
if anything is more,
That's
if
not the
anything
right
more,
thing to say right now.
listen, if anything more
This, Ryan.
than you going up there and you feeling like you get taken advantage of, right? And you go into a married man's
this
room.
has happened to people you know.
What?
What you're talking about has happened to people you know. You gotta be careful with this.
Well, I know.
People you know have been through this. You may not know that they've been through
Okay,
this.
I don't know, but what I'm saying is, I'm just asking, why is it that we don't call people out on their morals when it happens? That's the only question I have.
I'm not saying
That's the
what he's
only
saying.
question I have.
I understand
You
what
said
you're
it.
saying.
I
when you
left
say,
that
I
exit
understand
a
that
while
part.
ago.
This isn't just about Bill Cosby. This could
you
be
hear what he said, though?
anything.
Huh?
Did you hear what he said at the end? He was saying that why aren't people called to the carpet for their moral decisions, right? Because at the time, what you're saying is that there was a lady who was trying to further her career, knowing that she was going to go up to a hotel room and sleep with a married man.
And that's where he's coming- and that's
he's
real.
coming from,
That's
right?
a real
At the
situation.
same time, right? It doesn't, even though she's going up, right, to possibly make that decision, she should never be forced to make that decision
And
when
see-
she gets there. And if she is forced, then she is no longer to blame for what's going
Miracle.
on.
And
If you go to somebody's room,
Oh Lord.
right?
Oh God.
I mean, you go to somebody's room, you're not going to. You're supposed to meet them.
Why Miracle?
No,
Ask
no,
me.
no.
Ask me.
No, I'm asking a young lady. If you go to knock on somebody's door and you're supposed to have like a conversation with them, meet them, and they open the door and they in their robe, what do you say?
And they're in their robe.
They're in their robe.
I'm gonna stand at the door. I'm not walking in at that point.
Why not?
Because clearly you look like you about to go to bed. You just woke up. Like you need some time to get yourself together.
And I'm based off what
right
you
here
just
and
saying.
talk to you right here at the
I
door.
think based off what you're saying is that was one of the statements that was made, that she came to his room and she opened the door and he was in a robe and everything like that.
But
I'm not even talking about
I'm not
that.
going to shame a woman because she may not immediately think that. If she walks into the room, that doesn't mean that, oh, I'm trying to have something happen to me.
I think
it might have just gone past her mind. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Like, you can't say everybody is thinking the same thing at the same time.
This ain't like one person.
It's not one.
50
So,
something.
He said, forget about those other people. Let's just talk about the one.
Well, I'm not even
That's what
talking
he
about
said.
them and their
That's
and
true,
the
that is what he
situation that
said.
happened to them. I'm a father of 2 girls, right? So y'all know I don't feel any type of way about letting this pass by, right?
Yeah. I have
That's
a
not
question.
what I'm calling out. I'm calling out the morals of why do we not do
But
things when it happens,
can I-
and then we bring it up years later.
May I say
right?
this? I'll wait till you're done, though. I just wanted to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think,
We should
like,
pay attention to this.
I just think that, okay, and we have women in the room, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. But just my personal opinion, I think oftentimes when women are put in difficult situations in the workplace where a man may make them feel uncomfortable, if it is a primarily male-dominated, like, hierarchy above you, then who are you going to go to? Because if that person doesn't have a history of, you know, doing things like this,
bad
nobody's
reputation,
ever,
nobody's gonna
exactly,
believe you.
nobody's ever heard of that. Oh, he's like, you know, our uncle or such a good dad. Like, who are you going to go tell? And if you tell them, are you going to be laughed at? Is it going to be taken seriously? Are you going to be fired? Are you going to be made to feel awkward just because you brought up something that is a concern?
Or racist?
There's an industry around this. Some of these people did talk, but they were silenced. This is not this is a powerful person. This is not just some random dude. This is a powerful person you're dealing with. They have ways to silence, especially when they have people around them helping. So like this is whenever you tell a young lady that this is your fault that this happened when the dirty man that did it is right there, it just feels weird. It feels like, why are we taking any attention off of this dude
That's wrong.
if he did this? You know
Here's
what
the
I'm saying?
question: how many people think he did it?
I don't think it matters what we think.
No,
It doesn't
because
matter what we
because
think.
that makes your narrative.
Here's one
That makes your
testimony.
narrative.
Here's one testimony because I didn't know much about this, but there was a testimony where there was a phone conversation where he was explaining why this wasn't a big deal. He admitted to Quaaludes, he admitted to all this other stuff. He
fly.
felt like, hey, well, she enjoyed it. That's a dirty man.
Yeah, it's dirty.
It's a dirty man that
That's
says
wrong.
that. So I don't care what he says. I don't care how long it took. He's a dirty person.
And I believe that.
If you get away with it in your formative years and you benefited from it, I don't care how old you are. You got to go to jail.
And I believe that. I believe that.
But I thought you were happy.
No. All I'm saying is there
under the
is.
bus, Miracle.
To me, I feel like morals. You call them out when you call them out, no matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstance
I'm telling you
is.
that young ladies in this situation have a hard time with this. I'm telling you this from experience. They have a hard time with this. And when they get stuck in those situations, it is very difficult to challenge the authority of somebody that in a lot of ways you're depending on for your own success. It's hard to ever get anybody to believe what you're saying. Some people already know and they don't care. Like
Right.
a lot of these people, everybody around them knows that they do this, but they don't care because they depend on them too.
This is coming from CNN, right? And just to kind of back up what Sean just said, he said in a sworn deposition, Cosby answered questions from his attorney, right? Well, he answered questions from another person's attorney, and I can't just say their names. Sean, can you say that name?
Dolores Trollin?
Thank you. All right, so when you got the Quaaludes, was it in your mind that you were going to use these Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with, right? That's what they asked Cosby. Cosby replied, yes. Did you ever give any of those young women the Quaaludes without their knowledge? That's what was asked. At that point, Cosby's attorney objected and told him not to answer the question.
There's a lot more worse stuff than that in there. But all I'm saying is,
but that's pretty definite.
all I'm saying is that guys in these situations need to be held accountable. Bill O'Reilly, Cosby, Trump, any of these dudes that take advantage of their position, that you don't know how powerful that position is when you have it over a young lady. It is dangerous to blame her for any of this stuff.
But I think we're coming across as saying that even if somebody is powerful, you can stop his power even if you tell somebody. You got to say something to somebody. I'm not saying don't say anything. I'm saying I'm not blaming her or anything. I'm just saying imagine if this would have came out earlier. This could have helped a lot of other women.
Not getting
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and I get that, and that makes sense. But I would even go to say that even on a much smaller scale, even on just a normal corporate level, like this type of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I've had situations happen with me with work, with working in ministry, with all sorts of people, supposed to be Christian, supposed to be, reputable people, but I've had situations where it's like I shouldn't have been put in this compromised situation. But I have said things because I'm just that type of person, but it wasn't always taken seriously. So you don't know that person's personality or,
You
know
who
dynamics.
You say that to? You know who that message is for? The message is for all his friends that know what he does.
Yeah, that's true,
Not
too.
for her. A lot of guys around these guys know what this guy is doing, and they don't say anything. That message is for them. You need to stop this when it's going too far. You need to be the one that's in this guy's career. Not these young ladies. They're the ones that were
victims.
victimized.
I don't know.
They're the victims.
You can't put whatever that person does after being violated. Leave them alone.
No, here's what
The guys around that person, they're responsible.
I mean, because
here's what I'm saying.
Because I think this is another thing. Because this even goes to a young girl who's getting molested by her father. If you don't be like, if her uncles know that they're doing that,
you don't understand how the uncles. Yeah, they're responsible.
They are, but at the same time,
you don't know.
Her to say something
you don't know how violating being molested is.
Feels right.
It makes you feel.
What it does to you mentally.
I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm not saying none of that. I would just say, like, prayerfully, we're praying that she will have the courage to come forward and say something to somebody.
But I don't think it can be expected, because when you're the victim of someone, right, then you're struggling, you're suffering. You got words? You have words?
They have a ton of words. I can feel them.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is this. Just because I've heard too many stories about this. You cannot expect someone who was violated to have any responsibility anymore in this whole situation. That violation is you're robbing somebody of a piece of their soul. Like that is violating.
No, I get that. I understand that.
So leave that person has no more responsibility. Everyone else that knows about it, they're the ones that needs to end this. The guys involved, the other people around them involved, after it happens, they are the ones that's responsible for this.
I'm sorry, I don't fully agree with that.
Number one, I was abused as a child, so this is hitting me in some type of way. But I will say that it's hard to what you're telling someone who has had their power taken away from them is to have the power to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's impossible.
Okay.
You cannot ask someone who has been violated to then try to convince other people that they've been violated. It's off the victim to try to explain to other people why this is wrong. It's off the victim to try to explain why 20 years later they finally have the courage to say something. And you're putting a 2017 mindset as something that happened in the 1960s.
That was acceptable.
You cannot say that they didn't say anything, because they probably did say something. A lot of people said something.
Right.
Most people have somebody's aunt or cousin who was molested or raped, and people knew about it, but they kept it under the covers because that they didn't want to put anything on the man. He's a good person outside of this thing that he does to this child or to these women.
He's paying the bills.
He's paying the bills. He's part of society. Women were not seen as equal, still are not seen as equal, so you can't tell them that they need to all of a sudden assert this equal right. Like, this person did something to me, get him, when they don't even believe that something can happen.
Like,
and even if she's in the room, so it's her fault. She went up there, so it's her fault. She took the drug, so it's her fault. None of these things can be true, because you have what you can do and I have what I can do. If I'm laying there, I cannot give consent, therefore it's your fault. If I come in the room, and even if I thought I wanted to do something and I changed my mind,
right,
at that moment it is now up to you to accept that I said no and to stop. He knew what he was doing. He got away with it 50 plus times or more. Yeah. There are probably people who even saw all these women and were like, no, I can't say anything because I have a family now and they'll look at me differently, because it is always on the women and not on the man.
Right.
It's like
true.
It's like you're fussing at somebody in a coma saying, why aren't you saying anything? They're gone. That person is gone. it's up to everybody else around that person to say something, because the person that's been violated, they're gone. That damage doesn't go away ever. What you got?
I think that there's also an assumed level of support that's given for someone who speaks up. You know, I too have experienced some things, and it's not exactly something that you can come forward and just say, hey, this is what took place, even if you find yourself in a position whether you say something or it's discovered. There's still not necessarily a lot of support for that person. That person is broken. That person needs to be built back up. That person needs to be helped. And a lot of times the first thing that happens is the person comes forward and then you see their picture everywhere and it's scrutinized. You're looking at how she wears her hair. She wears her hair just like those girls who, like in videos, or strippers, they look at how much makeup she wears. She has on a red lip. She's asking for it. Why does she dress that way? There's so much scrutiny that comes with the person, and so they don't get a chance to get to know the person. It's just another picture of another pretty girl who just wanted to make it to a certain point. And so that's kind of the narrative that's given to that person, as opposed to, hey, I'm so sorry this happened. What do you need? How can we help you? So I think that we have to also understand that there's not exactly a lot of support that's given, whether it's somebody who's young and something happens or someone who's older. Even when you have the courage to come forward, you almost have to be your own advocate, because you're like, wait, I'm being lost in this. You're still putting me up against this powerful man and just using my photo, but not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we need to, again, remember the power dynamic here. I mean, Bill Cosby, even though he was a black man, he was a powerful black man. He was a man who people knew. And even though he wasn't like Bill Cosby, family man Bill Cosby yet, he was still making more money than they were. And they may have been young white women, but they were still women. And so in the power dynamic of things, man is over woman, even when it comes to race in a lot of these situations. And so we have to be aware of the fact that sure, he, did some things that were great at other times, but he was probably just a horrible person in real life. And that's what's hard, is that it's very difficult as a woman when I see things like this and hear things like this, because I do want to come to his defense at times. I didn't want to believe it at first, because then that puts him in the line of so many powerful men who have taken advantage of women. Yeah. But you can't be like, well, why is this happening 20 years later, when you realize that it's just now that and barely now that people are taking rape seriously. Like, there were so many other instances. If you're thinking, it only got real for some people until it was in the multiple digits of women. They heard one or two and they're like, oh, he probably didn't do that. Like 10, okay, maybe. Like 30,
and
what?
That's why the rest of them 50? Start coming forward, because it's like, he not getting off this time.
He can't, and that's what they're really feeling, like he can't. Over 100, good Lord.
It's crazy that the voice of one can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's for a lot of people, is that it's not just one. It can't be just one woman. And it couldn't have been one woman in 1960 who was going to be like, I'm going to lead the charge. Because first of all, it wouldn't have gotten all of this press. She would have been by herself, and it would have gotten handled off to the side. It's only now when you can have a Twitter where she can put her thing out, or she can, and then 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 can come together that way. You can't do that in 1960. You can't do it in 1970. That's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the outcome that we hope for in anybody, in any trial, any case? What is our outcome? What do we want?
No, in anybody, in any trial, in any case, I'm always hoping that justice is served.
Justice is served. Is justice served in the sense of this person, the victim now feels vindicated, right? Is it served in the purpose of this person no longer gets to get away with this? Is it served in the sense that no one else has to be a victim? Like, I want to know.
The victim hasn't been vindicated in this case. I mean, it depends. It depends on if this really happened. If it really happened, and then if he really did this right, then the victim wasn't vindicated, right? The victim's probably feeling more defeated today than before, right? Because he got off again. And if he's always kind of maintained the thought of, I am powerful, and you know what I mean, I'm going to show you my power, like, or whatever, right? Or if he's kind of always maintained a case of, I'm way too popular for you to be able to bring me down like that, then this today really, brings that to light.
Sure.
It really says that, you know what I mean?
He does have power.
Yeah, I do have power, and I still have power, right? I'm old and I'm decrepit, but I still have enough power to dodge this case.
Does it mean that we play judge and jury and feel like that this is the end of our suffering when we find something like this? Because for me, I felt like if my dad's wife just went to jail, this would end my suffering, right? But then I thought about it and I said, well, it doesn't end the suffering because he doesn't get to come back. You know what I mean? And I don't know the full story. All the evidence looks like I have the full story, right? But I don't know the full story.
But you're talking about as a third party. They do know the full story.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So this doesn't work for them.
So my question is, when you have, would you say over 100? Over 100, what is the, I guess I'm asking, like, what is it that's going to soothe the soul? Because it's just a question about morality that I have.
I think one thing that helps is when something that was people got away with for a long time starts to turn the other way. The same thing with this whole black shooting thing, right? If one of these cases went the right way and it was like, oh man, maybe something, it just feels like, well, at least down the line, our daughters won't have to deal with this. I think that's the hope. It's like, if we can end this now, then maybe our kids won't have to deal with this anymore, because it's definitely getting better. Like she said, is that back in the day this was commonplace. This was no big deal. But Bill O'Reilly getting caught, Cosby getting caught, people getting called out. It's like, well, maybe in the future people won't get away with this. That brings some satisfaction. And just to end it off, I do feel like the culture is changing. But if anybody out there thinks, first of all of this is gross. What Trump said was gross. What Bill Cosby did was gross. What Bill O'Reilly did was gross. So if you don't think it's gross, you're wrong. And I think there's a lot of guys that feel like, yo, she does, I heard that talk so much when I was growing up. You are gross if you think that any of this is okay. So I just want to, if the tide is turning towards people realizing that, oh, okay, I'm a gross person, then at least we're getting somewhere, because that people didn't feel that way in the past. They felt like, I'm powerful, I get what I want. Hopefully we're turning the corner to where everybody realizes if you feel the urge to take this from somebody, you're a gross person, you need help. Does that make sense? It shouldn't be societally accepted. Hopefully it's not anymore. Yeah. All right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.